Topic 7, Lesson 7. Estimation, decimals divided by whole numbers. In this lesson, you will use compatible numbers to estimate quotients of decimals and whole numbers. And something to understand is that substituting compatible numbers is an efficient technique for estimating quotients. And you'll be able to check if your answers are reasonable. Okay, make sure you're on page 184 and your notebooks and pencils are ready to go. So it says, in 1 through 8, estimate each quotient. And we have used compatible numbers in previous lessons, or rounded, but we're going to focus on compatible numbers. Okay, so 63 5/10 divided by 8. So I notice that 63 5/10 is between 63 and 64. So if I were rounding, I'd round up to 64, but that actually works out because I can go ahead and write, or I know my basic facts. This is number 1. Okay, 63 5/10 is close to 64, and I know that 8 is compatible with 64. So my estimate would be just 8 wholes, or 8 groups of 8. Okay, so I know my answer would be close to that. All right, so let's look at number 2. It says 72 8/10 divided by 10. Okay, well, we've already done multiples of 10. So this one, obviously we could check our answer and just say, well, divided by 10 would make it smaller, move my decimal. My answer would be 7 28/100. Okay, but I can just change it to 70. Oops. Divided by 10. Okay, to do the compatible number thing, and get 7 for my estimate. All right, so go ahead and try numbers 3 and 4, and then I want you to come back on the video. So you're going to pause, come back on the video, see what you get, see if you got the same answers as I did. All right, so you should have paused, and you could have rounded or found the, well, actually not rounded, number 3, found the compatible number. 19 45/100 is close to 20. Okay, and divided that by 4. So I didn't have to change my divisor to get 5. Hopefully that's what you got. So pause once again if you haven't done number 4 and see if you get the same thing. Okay, 4, 34 25/100 divided by 7. Well, I know that 35 is compatible with 7, and 34 25/100 is pretty close to that. So I'm going to divide, and you should get 5 for your estimate. All right, so go ahead and complete 5 through 8. And I'm going to skip ahead real quick to number 11. So you can finish those first, or you can skip ahead to 11 with me and go back to those. It's up to you. Okay, look at number 11. Might be a little tricky, so pay attention. Be ready to write this down. So it says 47 52/100 divided by 83. Notice 83 is bigger than 47 52/100. So it's a bigger number in the divisor, which means when we round or when we find the compatible number, 47, we're not going to say 48 divided by 80 because that wouldn't make sense. Or it would be a decimal, I should say. So I know that 48 and 8 are compatible. 6 would be the other factor. So I can change it to 48 and 0/10. Okay, and the reason I did that is because I put 3 place values there. It looks like 480 if the decimal wasn't there. Okay, and I'm dividing that by just changing that to 80 because they're compatible then. And that way I know when I divide, okay, 0 and a 0, and that gives me 6. However, I know that there is 1 decimal place in the dividend, so there has to be 1 decimal place in the product, just like we did when we multiplied. But that's how you figure out when the divisor is larger. Okay, so then I know my answer that's reasonable is C, 6/10. So keep that in mind when you do number 13, because it's the same type of situation. Okay, do your best, good luck, and find out what problems you need to do in this lesson.